Hey everybody, welcome to week 3. So we've just finished a exam, so I will be looking over those grades probably tomorrow if I don't get to them today. We submitted our first lab report last night. I will be grading those this week, and I will be providing feedback. If you don't get much feedback, that's because you pretty much met a lot of my expectations, or a lot of the problems just need to be, a lot of the problems can be fixed by some simple revision. And if you want some further clarity on what to revise, send me an email. But more than likely, for the majority of folks, I will be sending you numbers for each of the areas on that rubric. And those numbers, just look at the rubric and that'll tell you what those numbers mean. And then for any major things, I'll be leaving comments in D2L, so be sure to check that. And then if you have any questions, just send me your questions, okay? I will also have your discussions graded for again, we only did one chapter of discussion last week, so I'll have those graded this week. Now, this week, we go back to having 2 chapters to cover. And this week we start Unit 2. This is the unit where we start focusing on the individual in social psychology. Remember that the focus of social psychology is is the effect of real or imagined others on an individual's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So this unit, we're going to talk about the self, we're going to talk about attitudes, and we're going to talk about how those attitudes can change. Now, certainly, again, this is the study of how people, real or imagined, affect us, individuals. So there's always some social component, but attitudes, the self-representation, how those attitudes change, these are topics that I tend to identify as more focused on the individual. Certainly, as I said, all things in social psychology are affected by other people, or just about all things. But this unit heavily focuses on individual mechanisms operating inside an individual's head. So we start off this week with talking about the self in chapter 3 and attitudes in chapter 7. We have 2 discussion boards per the usual, 2 chapter quizzes per the usual, and 2 sets of mind tap practice. So all of that will need to be due by Sunday. Now, about the discussion boards, the person who had who originally was scheduled to be the discussion leader for chapter 3 is no longer here. So on a first come, first served basis, I will offer extra credit to the first person who sends me an email and offers to be the discussion leader for chapter 3. So you do that, you do chapter 3 in addition to the unit that you're already covering. But again, I will give extra credit to anybody who wants to be the discussion leader for chapter 3 in addition to the chapter that they've either already been the leader of or are going to be the leader of. But I'm going to do it first come, first serve, but I need to know by at least noon on Wednesday. And then if I haven't heard anything by noon on Wednesday from anybody who wants to be the stand-in leader for discussion 3, the discussion over chapter 3, that's actually discussion 4. Discussion 4 is the discussion over chapter 3. Then I'll do it. Okay. Now, on the discussion leader list, I want to mention that I post a lot of news items, and you're responsible for knowing all of those news items. So it's a good idea to log in every day, or at least every other day, and check those news items. But if I've given a news blast, right, and I've got 6 or 7 items, some of those items are there's a chance that some of them could be hidden. All right. And that's because the home page of the course page only shows, I think, like 5 or 6 news items, the 5 or 6 most recent news items. So in order to make sure you're up to date on all news items and being able so that you will know how to be able to find the old news item with the discussion leader list. In your D2L page, you'll find along the top a section or a link that says communications. When you hover over that, you get a drop-down list. One of those drop-down lists items says new or news. If you click on that, it'll bring you to a page where you see every news item posted all semester, including the discussion leader list. All right, so be sure to keep your eye on that. All right, and if you have trouble finding that, just holler at me. Okay. So then the last thing we have due this week is the Lab 2 data collection. Okay, so we did the data collection for Lab 1 in week 1. We did the lab report that was due last night, and now we have Lab 2 to do, and we have to do that by Sunday. Okay. All right, guys, that is it for the third week of the semester. Remember, it's an 8-week course, so we're shoving 16 weeks into 8. We're essentially doubling how much we have to do each week. So stick to it, hang in there. As always, if you have any questions, send them my way. If not, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on the discussion boards. See you, everybody.